Hey guys, Ryan here. Ever wondered what would happen if you pressed the engine start-stop button while driving? Would the engine cut off? Would you lose control? Or is it just another car myth waiting to be busted? Well, today, we're diving into the truth about that little button most of us take for granted. You might be surprised. It's not as simple as you think. From low-speed situations to highway cruising, pressing that button can lead to some unexpected results. And in emergencies, knowing how it works could even save your life. But here's the kicker. This isn't something you should ever test in your own car. Why? Because we're breaking it all down for you right here. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do if you ever need to use that button when it matters most. But before that, like and subscribe for daily upload like this. All right, let's take things down a notch. Literally, what happens when you press the engine start-stop button while driving at low speeds? This is where things get a little more interesting and a lot more hands-on. Unlike the scenario at highway speeds, the safeguards we talked about earlier work differently when you're moving slowly. Here's why. Low-speed situations, like pulling out of a driveway, coasting through a parking lot, or idling in traffic, aren't as risky for sudden engine shutdowns. If you press and hold the start-stop button for a few seconds while moving slowly, the engine will turn off. Yes, you heard that right. It shuts off completely, even if you're still rolling. So, what does that mean for you as a driver? Well, the first thing you'll notice is silence. The engine dies and the car feels eerily still, even if your wheels are still turning. This can be a bit jarring if you weren't expecting it, and here's where the real challenge comes in. You lose access to the power systems that make driving easier. Take power steering, for example. At low speeds, you depend on power assist to make tight turns, especially when parking or navigating crowded areas. When the engine shuts off, the steering becomes noticeably heavier, like trying to turn a ship's wheel without a rudder. It's manageable, but takes a lot more effort, especially if you need to make a sharp turn quickly. Then there's braking. While your brakes will still work without the engine running, the power assist that gives you smooth, responsive braking is gone. What does that mean for you? You'll need to press down harder on the pedal to stop the car, and the braking response might not feel as immediate as you're used to. In a low-speed scenario, this might not seem like a big deal, until you're in a crowded parking lot or approaching an intersection. Now, let's talk about why you might ever need to do this. Imagine you're in a rare but serious situation. Your car's throttle is stuck, and the engine is revving uncontrollably, even at low speeds. In cases like this, shutting off the engine by pressing and holding the button could prevent a fender bender, or worse. It's a risky move, but it's there as an emergency backup. Here's the takeaway. At low speeds, pressing and holding the start-stop button shuts off the engine, but it also leaves you to handle steering and braking without power assist. It's not something you'd want to do for fun or curiosity, but it's a crucial feature to understand in case of an emergency. So the next time you're creeping through traffic or rolling into a parking spot, remember, that start-stop button can do more than just start your car. It's a tool that could save you in a pinch, if you know how to use it properly. All right, now let's shift gears, literally, and talk about what happens if you press the engine start-stop button while driving at high speeds. If you thought things were tricky at low speeds, buckle up, because this scenario comes with even higher stakes. First, let's set the scene. Imagine you're cruising on the highway at 65 miles per hour. What happens if you accidentally or intentionally press the engine start-stop button? Here's the good news. Pressing it once won't immediately shut off the engine. That's because modern vehicles are equipped with advanced safety systems that prioritize keeping the engine running when the car is moving at higher speeds. Manufacturers know that a sudden engine shutdown at highway speeds could lead to a complete loss of control, so they've designed the system to ignore single presses of the button. But what if you press and hold the button for 3 to 5 seconds? This is where things get serious. Holding the button overrides the safety system, and the engine will shut down, even if you're going 65 miles per hour. Now let's break down what happens next. First, the engine stops running, which means you lose power to critical systems like power steering and power brakes. At high speeds, this can feel like an instant game changer. Imagine trying to steer around a curve with no power assist. The wheel suddenly feels stiff and heavy, making even small adjustments more difficult. This could be particularly dangerous if you're navigating tight traffic or making a sudden lane change. Now let's talk about braking. Without the engine running, you still have brakes, but they're no longer assisted by the car's power system. That means stopping requires significantly more effort. At highway speeds, where stopping distance is already longer, losing brake assist could make it almost impossible to stop in time to avoid an obstacle. What about other systems? When the engine shuts off, the electronic stability control and traction control systems also lose effectiveness as they rely on the engine to function. This could increase the risk of skidding or losing control, especially in bad weather or on slippery roads. So, why would anyone ever want to do this? Well, there are rare situations where shutting off the engine at high speeds might actually be necessary. For example, if the throttle gets stuck wide open and the brakes aren't enough to slow the car, shutting off the engine could prevent a catastrophic accident. But even in such a scenario, there's a safer way to handle it. Shift into neutral first. This disconnects the engine from the drivetrain, allowing you to maintain control while safely bringing the car to a stop. The key takeaway here, pressing and holding the engine start-stop button at high speeds is a last resort move for emergencies only. It's not something to experiment with because the risks far outweigh the curiosity. Modern cars are designed to keep you safe, but it's up to you to understand these features and use them wisely. Curious about how this feature works in real-life emergencies? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more tips that can keep you safe and informed behind the wheel. Here's the truth. Knowing how to safely shut off your engine in an emergency isn't just smart. It could save your life. While it's rare, situations like a stuck throttle or unintended acceleration can happen. If you ever find yourself in one of these high-stakes scenarios, here's the safest way to handle it. Step 1. Stay calm. Panic only makes the situation worse. Your first move should always be to shift the car into neutral. Why? Neutral disconnects the engine from the wheels, stopping the acceleration immediately while keeping the car's power steering and brakes functional. You'll still have full control of the vehicle as you safely guide it to the side of the road. Step 2. Once the car is stopped, press and hold the engine. Start-stop button. This shuts off the engine completely, ensuring no further issues arise. Remember, never try to force the car into park while it's moving. That can seriously damage your transmission. Understanding this simple two-step process could mean the difference between a minor scare and a major accident. Share this tip with friends. It's one of those life-saving tricks every driver should know. All right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into what happens if you press the engine start-stop button while driving. Hopefully, I've answered the burning question you had in the back of your mind without you having to risk testing it yourself. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways. If you're driving at higher speeds and accidentally press the button, modern cars are designed to protect you by ignoring it, at least for a single press. But if you press and hold that button for a few seconds, the engine will shut off and you'll lose power steering and brakes. At low speeds, the story's a little different. A long press shuts off the engine, but you'll still be dealing with a much heavier steering wheel and brakes that require a lot more effort. And don't forget the golden rule for emergencies. Always shift into neutral first before shutting off the engine. That simple step keeps your steering and brakes working so you can guide your car to safety. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you needed to use the start-stop button in an emergency? Or have you seen someone try it out of curiosity? I'd love to hear your stories or any other wild car-related moments in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. I know you all have some fascinating experiences to share. And hey, if you found this video helpful, or even just a little bit entertaining, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me create more videos like this to keep you safe, informed, and maybe even save you some serious money on car repairs down the line. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. I've got plenty more car myths to bust, tips to share, and tricks to help you get the most out of your ride. Oh, and one more thing. If you're into learning these cool car hacks, make sure to check out my other videos. Finally, remember, your car is smarter than you might think, but that doesn't mean you should test its limits. Features like the start-stop button are there for a reason, and understanding how to use them can make all the difference in a high-stakes moment. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your vehicle. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, drive safe, stay curious, and keep your car in top shape. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.